So this is the 8th installment in the Friday the 13th franchise, and it's the final Paramount Friday the 13th film, and that is, of course, Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Like I said, later on in the series, especially with Part 7 in this movie, you could tell like the series was running out of steam, and they were running out with new creative ideas. This movie kind of interests me, but I didn't really do that much research when I first watched it. So I thought, oh, cool, Jason in Manhattan, and you see the trailer too, where you see him looking over the New York Harbor, and he turns around, and you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna take place in New York. That's gonna be awesome, right? Nope. And of course, a lot of people criticize it because some of the scenes that were supposedly in New York was shot in Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, Canada. But and I know like the original script was most of the movie was supposed to be set in New York, but of course, what we got is like the last 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so set in New York. But anyways, this one it picks up from Part 7, and it's about this girl who goes on her graduating senior class, goes on a cruise trip to New York City. Which, yes, there's a logical fallacy there, because how does a cruise line, get out of a lake into the ocean? Because, a lake doesn't connect to an ocean out via a river. But, yeah, you just gotta kind of go with it. But she goes on this class trip with her friends, or her graduating class, and she's kind of stuck on there with her overbearing uncle, who he's also a teacher. And there's like one character, this like slutty student on there. She's trying to have sex with him so she can get an A in his class. But so she goes on this trip, and of course Jason, because in the beginning of the movie there's this couple, they're on a boat, they're like making out and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, they're in Crystal Lake, and you're like, oh yeah, you heard about this Jason guy and all that. And I don't know what happened, but lightning strikes the anchor, and it's like on Jason, and that wakes Jason up. And he gets on this boat, and he kills the couple. And of course, like I said, the death scenes are heavily cut in this movie too. I think it's not as bad as Part 7, but um, so he kills like the one woman. He kills the woman by shooting her in the stomach with a harpoon gun. I think he just stabs the guy. I'm trying to remember. And then, it goes back. It goes to if the students going on the cruise trip. And Jason, you know, finds the cruise ship, climbs on it, and starts killing everyone on board. And that's where most of the big portion of the movie takes place, is on this cruise ship. And, it's the stereotypical characters, and the death scenes are kind of lame. But like I said, it's cut down because of the MPAA at the time. There's like a crazy Ralph character. He's always saying like, "You guys are doomed. You're all gonna die," and stuff. He gets killed by Jason. When everything starts going down, uh, one guy, he's like obsessed with film. He wants to be a director, and he kind of looks like like a young Matt Damon. Well, he's walking around like in the him and his friend are like shooting a music video, I think. And the one girl, she's like she likes playing the guitar, and she's like, they're down in the what's that called? Like in the steam engine area, and she gets smacked in the face with the guitar. Then her friend, he's like filming everything, and he's walking around, and his glasses fall off and they break. So Jason comes up behind them, throws them into the power grid, the electrical grid on the ship. The captain, he dies. Jason goes in there and murders the whole crew, and then he only got the teenagers left and the two teachers, and then one girl. Now this one scene was pretty cool. The slutty girl that was trying to sleep with the professor, she's taking a shower, and Jason comes in and throws her down on the ground and stuff. And for some reason, he looks in the mirror, and I guess it pisses him off. He punches the mirror and pulls out a piece of glass and just stabs her with it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't know why. I guess because, Jason, just the ferocity that he just, punched the mirror and broke it and then stabbed someone with a piece of glass. I'm like, I don't know. That was kind of wow. Then there's, one girl. She's an Asian girl. She's running around and she gets into, the dance area of the ship. And you just see, I guess this is one of the movies where you find out that Jason teleports. She sees, Jason here, Jason here, Jason here, and then he finally pops up in front of her, lifts her up, just chokes her to death and drops her down. Which I thought that scene was pretty brutal, too. Because, most of the time you don't really see Jason kill people with his bare hands that much. And I like when they show it sometimes because it just shows how powerful he really is. Then the main girl, she keeps having visions of Jason as a child. There's this one scene in the movie, it's not on here, but she has this hallucination of Jason as a child in one of the boat windows, the cruise ship windows, and he keeps on Mommy, help me, I'm drowning, or something like that. And then he grabs her by the neck. It's really Jason, the old adult Jason, grabs her by the neck and tries to choke her. But okay, so after all that happened, oh yeah, there's this one guy. He wanted to be the hero of the ship. He climbs on top of the mast of the ship, and then Jason grabs him, throws him down, and and he falls sideways and on his side and gets impaled on this sharp, I forgot what it's called, but it's a satellite part of the ship. I was like, damn. So after all this, they're like, is there's one guy. Yeah, there's one guy. This is another interesting death. I'm sorry, just remembering. I don't watch this movie that much, but there's one guy. He's in a sauna, and his face is covered. And Jason comes in and takes a hot rock and shoves it right in his stomach, and freaking burns his insides. Then okay, after that, they decide to get off the ship and go into a boat, and they drift off, and they finally make it to New York City. And as soon as they get there, it's kind of it's bad news because they get off in the worst part of the neighborhood, and there's it's really, I like the look of New York City. I don't know why, but the 70s and 80s feel in New York City was really dirty and kind of put me on ease, but it it's uneasy look. It makes me uneasy, but it's very, I don't know. I kind of just like the atmosphere for some reason. It's yeah, it's realistic. They're walking down the street, everything's wet and slimy and grimy looking. They run into these gangsters, these thugs that kidnap one of the girls, and they're like trying to inject her like with heroin or something. Because one of the guys is trying to rape her, and Jason, I guess he's part of the hero. He's kind of like an anti-hero or something. He freaking grabs the one guy, stabs him with the needle, smashes his head into a pipe and busts the pipe, and he killed the guy that was trying to rape her, and then he killed the other guy that injected her with the heroin, was trying to inject her with the heroin. So, like, they all finally meet back, and then they get into a cop car, and I'm trying to remember what happened. Yeah, there's a character named, I think his name is Julius, and he's, like, obsessed with boxing and stuff, and I think, I think this happened this happened before, sorry. So him and Jason are on top of a roof of a building. He's like, Julius is like punching Jason, like boxing him. He's like, come on, fight me, fight me. And like, he's just punching the hell out of Jason. And then finally, he just like gets exhausted from it. And then he's like, come on, hit me with your best shot. So Jason grabs him and punches his head off, and his head like falls off and lands into a dumpster. And I thought that death scene was pretty cool. Like I said, it shows Jason's power. He knocks some dude's head off. Then, you know, later on, I think the girl's name is Rennie, the main girl. You find out that her uncle, when she was younger, took her out on a boat, and he knew that she was afraid of swimming and stuff because of all the stories he told her about Jason. So he pushes her in the water, and then she sees, like, I guess, I don't know if it's really Jason or a vision of Jason, but after that, she's, like, traumatized the water. And then, I'm trying to remember what the hell happened, but this was after they find Joyce's head on a cop car, and then they crash the cop car and it blows up, and like the female teacher that was nice to Rennie and stuff, she dies, and I'm like, wow, you kill off the nice character in the movie. But Jason, the uncle, finally gets his comeuppance. He's running around. They basically ditch him, so he's running around in a building, and you just see him fly out of a window onto the ground, and then Jason comes out and sticks him like in this barrel of toxic waste, which didn't really make sense. I was like, why the fuck is there just toxic waste right there? But anyway, so the main girl and the guy, they're trying to get away from Jason, and they run into Times Square, and that's like the most famous scene where you just see Jason standing in Times Square and he's looking around. There's also a scene like when they first get off the little boat into New York. There's a poster of a hockey mask, and Jason looks at it and then looks at the camera, and then they're walking through Times Square, and these punks, or I don't know, they're dressed like punks, but they're listening to rap music. So Jason comes up, kicks their stereo, and then they get mad and they're like, hey man, you're dead meat. Like one of them pulls out a butterfly knife and he's like, hey man, you're dead meat. And then Jason just lifts off his mask. And the guy's like, alright man, you're cool. And they run off. There's a scene where they go into a diner and Jason picks up this dude and just throws him into a freaking mirror. And then you find out that's Ken Kirchinger. He would play Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. There's a scene where they're on the subway and like on a train, and Jason's like pushing people off, pushing people down and shit in the chairs and all that. And then there's the final scene where the main girl and the guy go down to the sewers, and they meet this one guy who works down there, and he's like, yeah, toxic waste comes on at this time, we gotta flood it out, so you guys best get out of here. So they like lure Jason down there, and then like they're like up on a ladder, and the toxic waste comes down, and it sorry, and it washes over Jason, and then for some reason that reverts him back to a little boy, and I was like, the ending was kind of confusing because it's like, well, what the hell happened? But yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up because I'm going over. But yeah, that's my review of Jason Takes Manhattan.